All right, welcome back to the channel. It is the year 2020 and we are in a new decade of boxing. So, it is time for people to say who they think is the best fighter or fighter of the previous decade. Now, for me, this is a hands down, not too difficult of type of situation, but Shane Mosley made a surprise pick of Canelo Alvarez over Floyd Mayweather Jr., over Andre Ward, over Manny Pacquiao. And I'll tell you, man, he made a very good argument. We'll go through that, but why it's just one major thing or two major things that have to keep that from happening. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, I hope that you accept my invitation to subscribe. Hit the bell icon that's down there. Thank you to all the channel members that joined the channel, and you can click the join button down there. Also, thank you to everybody on the Patreon and everybody that supports in the live streams Monday through Friday with the super chats, and everybody that is, like I said, a member of the Patreon. Definitely check out our OG Boxing Talk. That's our weekending live stream show, Sundays at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So let's get into this. Shane Mosley is one of my favorite fighters ever, man. He was just a killer at lightweight, man. One of the best lightweights that I have had the fortune to watch fight. Now, he moved up because he's, looking for the money, looking for the big fights with Oscar De La Hoya, with, other great fighters that he fought. Unfortunately, lost to Shane Mosley, but lost to the great Vernon Forrest. Rest in peace. But Shane Mosley fought Canelo Alvarez. He fought, he pretty much fought everybody, man. Excellent, excellent, excellent fighter, Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley was asked who he thought should be fighter of the decade, and he picked Canelo Alvarez. And he spoke very highly of Canelo Alvarez and why Canelo Alvarez should be fighter of the decade. But the reason that that is of note is because he would pick Canelo Alvarez over Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, the reason that he pointed to him was very solid reasons. Solid reasons. Now, if you're familiar with this channel, you know that I was, for the vast majority of the time that I've been doing this channel, a big supporter of Canelo Alvarez. But I just had to turn to the side on Canelo Alvarez just this year because of the things that this year and actually, man, in 2018, that just became too much for me. Okay, I just don't like the way that he's handling his business right now. I think that it's more show than go, and I also, it's just very difficult for me to get over this this positive PED test when there's so many people popping dirty in the sport of boxing. And when I looked at him fight Sergey Kovalev, and it just, the eye test for me, and look, I'm talking about my vote, what my opinion about who fighter of the decade is. Canelo Alvarez just looked just so questionable in the fight with Sergey Kovalev, man. And the fact that Sergey Kovalev was low hanging fruit at 100, as low hanging fruit at 175 as you could get. Rocky Fielding was definitely the lowest hanging fruit that you could get at 168. And he took a franchise championship in order not to fight Charlo and got stripped because he wouldn't fight Sergey Deverenchenko. Now, he said that was confusion on the part of Golden Boy, but it is what it is. He got stripped because he wouldn't fight Sergey Deverenchenko. He just has entered into the prima donna land, and it's just very difficult, along with that performance enhancing drug issue, for me just to get with it. But what he does, but the argument that Shane Mosley made was still very, very valid, because look, man, the guy can fight. Sean, and I say this every time I talk about anybody about Canelo Alvarez. Look, man, juice or no juice, questionable decision and catch weights and all that stuff aside, and the franchise, all that stuff aside, the guy can fight. And anybody that gets in the ring with Canelo Alvarez is going to have a difficult time because he's just an excellent fighter, man. Shane Mosley said that Canelo Alvarez can fight old school, he can fight new school, whatever that means to him. that he has an excellent resume. He's fought, in multiple weight classes, all that stuff, man. All that stuff is true. Personally, I think, man, he's got some of the best upper body movement, defense, and just is one of the hardest guys in boxing to lay a glove on, man. And he's just super talented. He's super experienced. The guy's he's got a ton of fights. He never really had much of an amateur career, obviously, but he turned pro at a very young age. All of those things are fine and good. But this is why I just cannot give him a nod over. First of all, I can't give him a nod over Andre Ward. Okay, because everything that you say, I said about Canelo Alvarez, I can say about Canelo. I can say about Andre Ward too, with this big exception. He never cherry picked anybody. And he never lost. Okay. He never cherry picked anybody. He never lost. He's every bit as good a fighter or a better fighter than Canelo Alvarez is. So it's just on the same things and he fought everybody. He went through the World Boxing Super Series and beat extremely good fighters in the World Boxing Super Series, came in as an underdog to get out of that. He beat Kovalev. He went in and in many people's mind, he was an underdog moving up in weight to fight when Kovalev was actually Kovalev, not after Andre Ward exposed that the dude didn't like body shots. Andre Ward beat a Sergey Kovalev when Sergey Kovalev was the biggest, baddest man on the planet, or at 175 pounds. I just couldn't give it over Canelo Alvarez over Andre Ward. But the thing that gets me, man, is that this would be because this is the year we're talking about. We're talking about the fight of the decade from 2010 to 2019, right? Before that, we were talking about fight of the decade between the year 2000 and the 2009. Well, last time between 2000 and 2009, they gave it to Manny Pacquiao. I do believe that the Boxing Writers Association of America and pretty much ESPN and all the other conversations in 2009, as I recall, were giving that to Manny Pacquiao. Okay, now that I had a hard time with, but at least at that time, that was prior to Manny Pacquiao fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr., so they could make the argument. I didn't agree with it, but Floyd Mayweather Jr. wouldn't have got it in that decade, and if you give it to Canelo Alvarez, he wouldn't get it in this decade either. So the idea that Floyd Mayweather Jr. was not the most significant fighter over both of those decades is ridiculous, because his career spanned late 1990s all the way through 2017. But for somehow him being active during that period of time, he never was the best fighter for that decade, for either one of the decades. That just to me sounds like you're trying to find a way not to give him his due. And because that's so obviously the case that he was the most significant fighter and the most successful fighter during that period of time over everybody. For that 17 years, from 2000 to 2017, he was the most successful fighter out of everybody. But you couldn't find either one of the decades to give him fighter of the decade? It seems to me like you're looking for a reason to give it to somebody else. He can't, but it's because I guess he was the best because he was the second best from 2000 to 2009, and he's the second best he was never the second best, man. He was that whole time, except for maybe early in the 2000s before Roy Jones Jr. lost to Antonio Tarver. Man, it's just sometimes you got to look at the result and say, nah, that's just not right. Okay. And especially if you're going to give the awards to guys that he beat. Like, hold on. He beat Manny Pacquiao. He didn't beat Manny Pacquiao before 2009. But come on, man. Manny Pacquiao had already lost in that decade and had been knocked out. I do believe at least maybe he had been knocked out in the 1990s, hadn't quite been knocked out between 2000 and 2009. But I know that he lost because he lost to Eric Morales. So He loses to Eric Morales at a smaller weight class. Somebody would have never come close to beating. He would never even got in a ring with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And then he beats Manny Pacquiao, and he beats Canelo Alvarez in the between 2010 and 2019. But somehow he doesn't get the award. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the guy that's missing out of that scenario for me is Deontay Wilder. And I don't even think he was nominated. For him not to be nominated with a record of basically 23-0, half of that decade being a reigning heavyweight champion, to me is just, I mean, come on, man. How can the dude not be at least nominated? But anyway, that's my take on the matter. I can see where Shane Mosley's coming from, but you know, and Canelo, I do believe, is a better vote than Manny Pacquiao, because Manny Pacquiao went like 14-3 in that decade and had been knocked out. He didn't just lose, he got knocked out, right? He lost, except, is it 14-3 or 14-4? Because he lost to Juan Manuel Marquez, he lost to Floyd Mayweather Jr., he lost to Jeff Horn. Yeah, it might have been that he lost 3 fights and not 4 fights. But you 13-4-3 with and you only have 1 knockout, and you got knocked out 1 time. That's just a really hard sell for me. Anyway, it is what it is. I love this topic, man. But all these guys are great fighters for sure. Canelo Alvarez is a great fighter. He's just doing stuff that I don't too much care for, and hopefully he can hopefully something will happen that can revert me back into my Canelo fanhood, because I really was a big fan of the guy. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.